Hey everybody, I'm Brian Rosenberg. I'm the founder of Gays with Kids, and I'm excited to be here. We are going to be joined by a special guest tonight, Dr. Daniel Skora, who is with Fertility Specialists of Texas. He's going to be here in just a second. Usually when we're talking to Dr. Skora, he's telling us about something about the medical aspects of a surrogacy journey. Today, however, he's going to be talking to us on a much more personal level. He started his own surrogacy journey with his husband. So very excited to talk to Dr. Dan in just a moment. There he is. Hey, Dr. Dan.
Hey guys, how are you?
How you doing? So first of all, happy belated birthday. I felt so bad that I was talking to you yesterday and didn't realize it was your birthday.
My birthday was on, what's today? It was
Okay.
on Tuesday. It was on
Yeah.
Tuesday, yeah.
Okay. So, Dr. Dan, I'm so happy to have you talk to us. You know, usually when we're talking, you're sharing something about, from a medical perspective, of a typical surrogacy journey for gay men and gay dads to be. And today, we're going to be changing things around a little bit, and we're going to talk to you more personally. So, would you like to share a little bit about, um, you know, about what your journey is that you're taking right now?
Yeah, so, I got married back in October of last year. So we had a COVID wedding. We got engaged pretty early in the pandemic, like my birthday 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
My husband, who you guys will meet probably in a different webinar type thing, he actually he was at least, he was an elementary school principal, and now he is a middle school principal. And I always knew when we got married that he definitely wanted to have kids, and I always wanted to have kids. I wasn't sure how I was going to get there. Obviously, it's a lot easier considering what I do to do it the way that I'm about to do it. But so then we decided that we were going to get started after we got married. Then we started getting serious about figuring out what our journey was going to look like, and we're kind of halfway through right now.
Well, so what does that mean? Where are you exactly?
So we've already created our embryos. We've cycled the donor. We've created our embryos. One of our good friends is actually going to be our surrogate. So she's going through legal right now. So we're hoping that we're going to have a transfer end of July, early August.
Wow, that's awesome. Very
A
exciting.
little expedited because of what I do, I guess. But, you know.
That's great. That's great. So why don't we take a step back, and now I'd love for you to share a little bit about your professional journey, especially like, when and how did you decide to focus on reproductive endocrinology?
Yeah, so going all the way back to medical school, I really actually had no idea what I wanted to do when I graduated medical school. I was one of those people who really loved almost everything that I did. One of the only rotations I really didn't like was pediatrics, interestingly. Um, but I thought I was going to be a cardiologist. I thought I was going to maybe be an ER doctor. And then I took OB, was my last rotation of my third year, and I fell in love with OB. You really get to do everything in OB. You get to do surgery, you get young, old, clinic, delivering babies. Really, the only thing you don't do is men, really, at all. But other than that, you get to do like the full span of life, which I really enjoyed. Then I got to residency, and I loved being an OB. And then I eventually got to going to I took an REI rotation, infertility rotation, and I loved it. I really love the patient population, and a lot of medicine. Doctors often are fighting against their patients or recommending things that they don't necessarily want to do them, etc. But what I love, love, love about the infertility kind of sphere is that your patients are on your team with you. They really are motivated to go along with the journey with you, and that I think is phenomenal. And so that's what really got me interested in infertility. And where I did my residency and where I did my fellowship, we really didn't treat a lot of gay men. We just didn't specialize in that kind of infertility. I mean, you really need to be at a place that specializes in that type of fertility, because it does require a big team to do third-party type reproduction. And so I didn't really get to really delve into that until I got to my current practice, where they had already had established kind of a third party sphere, and I was kind of able to jump in there and really spread my wings in that field.
And so when did you join Fertility Specialists of Texas?
4 years ago now.
No. And just in case people are watching who don't understand what third-party reproduction means.
Third-party reproduction. So it's whenever you need a third person to complete a pregnancy. So actually, generally with men, you actually need fourth party reproduction or something often. But we call it third party when there's someone outside of the primary couple that has to be involved to make a baby happen.
Okay, cool.
So
All right.
sperm donor, egg donor, surrogate, those are the main third parties that are involved often.
Great. Thank you for explaining that.
No problem.
So now I'm curious, you've done, I don't know how many countless journeys you've done as a doctor. This is the first one going on your personally. Has anything surprised you about your journey to date? Did you have an emotional reaction that you weren't expecting? Has something, hit you that you're like, wow, that's crazy?
We as doctors often really focus on the medical aspects of the journey, really focus on that. And the last time I really even thought about the external aspects, the financial, the legal, blah, 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 all of that was my first Men Having Babies conference I went to, where I was presenting, but I actually went to most of the conference as well, just to, learn about the entire process. Right. Because a lot of that is kind of outside of what I do. And I like that it's outside of what I do, because a lot of that is not stuff that I specialize in or want to. So learning about all of that, the financial, the legal, the weird conversations you have to have with your surrogate, who in my case is a friend, those conversations were kind of catching me off guard. Also, my husband is not a doctor. He's not a fertility doctor. So guiding him through the process and keeping both of us grounded and making sure he understands like where things might go wrong, or keeping expectations where they should be, has been a really interesting part of the journey for us too.
Interesting. So can I ask you about finding your friend, you said, who is going to be your surrogate? Hopefully all will go well. How does that conversation get started?
Well, actually, she used to work for me. And she knew that we were going through the journey. She's been a friend. She used to work in my office. She left, not because of this or anything like that, but she left and for a different kind of job. And we were going through the kind of figuring out who we wanted. And I always, the donor, I didn't care as much if I knew the person, but the surrogate, I more than my husband actually really wanted. I really wanted someone I knew and I could trust. It just was one of those things. That I really just wanted that for our journey, and someone that can be part of the kid's life later on. I felt it was really an interesting idea and fun, and just knowing that I could, trust her with this baby or babies, whatever we end up doing. But yeah.
Well, cool. So let me ask you this. I'm curious if you thought yet about how your journey might ultimately affect your work or impact the relationship that you have with patients, or how you doctor them.
It already has, to be honest. When I'm talking to my intended parents, I'm like, when there's a bump in the road, I tell them, I'm on this journey too right now, and it's really, I understand it from a very different point of view than another fertility doctor. To be fair, there are not very many gay fertility doctors in the country. Right. I'm one of maybe less than 10 for sure. So, and of those 10, maybe only 2 or 3 have kids. So I think it's a pretty unique point of view to have. Is that required for you to have a doctor like who's been through it? No, obviously not. But, I think it does give me a unique kind of experience that I know exactly what you're going through. It might not be exactly the same journey because I am a fertility doctor, so it's obviously a little bit different. But certainly I now know the ins and outs of, a contract. I've read one now. I'd never had read a surrogacy contract before. And that's been an interesting thing to read. So.
I'm sure. All right, well, is there anything else you'd like to say now to everybody watching?
I think it's important that if you have questions, please ask them, first of all. I think it's important that, what I tell all of my, I tell all of my intended parents at conferences, when I meet them for the first time, I have no, it's fine if you end up with me. It's fine if you end up with someone else. What I want is for you to end up with a baby. And I really think the most important thing for that is to go to a clinic that really does a lot of this kind of work, because it does, as I said before, it requires a big team. Like, I'm really lucky that I have a big team devoted to doing this kind of work, because it's not possible if you don't, because there's just too many moving parts. And I have a really great team, and that really makes it a lot easier.
That's great. And, that's something that we say all the time at Gays with Kids is you need to find experts. And so you certainly need, in this case, that would mean that you would find someone with a large third-party reproduction practice. And secondly, you need to find people who are just as passionate as I am about helping gay men become dads. So it's great to talk to you, Dr. Dan, fertility specialist of Texas. Will you come back? Can we meet up a few more times in your journey at maybe
Absolutely. Yeah, I think important things to talk about are kind of like how we found our donor, what are the options for that, what was important to us, like, the surrogacy, talking with your surrogate about certain weird things. Often a surrogacy agency will guide you through that as well. I'm doing this journey kind of semi-independently, so that's been an interesting thing too. And so yeah, but absolutely. We're going to come back. I think Ray's going to join me for one, my husband. And so he'll give you a very unique point of view, I'm sure.
Okay, awesome. Well, we'd love to have him here. So great. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, everybody who's stopped by and watched. And we'll be in touch.
Have a good night, guys. Bye.